Hello, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Kenobi's Facebook Live every Monday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. I am, of course, easier for me to say, your host, Dan Z. Thrilled to spend another Monday evening with all of you. Is really, as I always say, there's no better way to spend and start the week than to talk Star Wars with some of my favorite people in the galaxy. Thank you so much for being here again every Monday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. We have a fun show for you. We are going to look at your top 5 favorite Star Wars anti-heroes and what it means to be an anti-hero, which I think is an important part of this classification that we have. And I'm going to reveal the big announcement. I asked you about a week and a half ago to help me come up with a unique name to sort of encapsulate the brand that I think is what we use for our Patreon thing. I mean, for now, those of you who are Patreon people, I know you're out there. You know that every Sunday, well, every Friday, there's a video of it, and every Sunday is the audio of it. It's our CWK Prover, our exclusive weekly podcast that we have on our Patreon page. And I wanted to be sure to try to find something that sort of captures the spirit of that. So we're going to talk about that at the end of the show. Hello, Terry. Good to see you. Tyler, thank you. I appreciate that. LJ, I feel like I haven't seen you in a while, man. It's good to have you on the show. Mark, you made it. So good to have you here. Oh, this is great, man. It's great to see all of our good friends, and both new and old, just here on Coffee with Kenobi on Facebook Live. It's just so great to see all of you. All right, so let's see. Let's weigh in. We got Minta is here, of course. LJ, what's up, man? Sup, homie, says Blake. Jim is here. Oh, everybody. Mark and Tyler like the opening music. Yes, the music I've had and I use for the openings to pour over, and it's by the Queen's cartoonists live at the Prairie Center. And I thought that's really nice, pleasant music, and that's how I always start pour over, to make you feel like you're sort of in a coffee house. So I thought, well, what better way to do that than to start off with the show here too. All right, so let's get into what's brewing in the world of Star Wars. So today, for the world of Star Wars, I don't know, there was a ton of news this week. I mean, feel free to weigh in if there's anything that you want to discuss on the show. I'm naturally happy to do that. Hey, Michelle from New Jersey. Hello, Michelle. Good to have you on Coffee with Kenobi. So nice to see everyone here. Great. It's always good to see our familiar faces and then new members of the Coffee with Kenobi family. Speaking of that, I'll try to find on my phone here. I originally said, I love that we have a Coffee with Kenobi Patreon page. It's been a huge blessing to me and my family. It's benefited the show in a lot of ways. For sure, it helps that we joke that it keeps the lights on at Coffee with Kenobi, and it does, and it certainly helps to add and bolster stuff. I mean, maybe you'd be surprised, or I don't know if you would or not, but even streaming, there's just a lot that is an investment in that, and it is very much an investment. But I want to give you the quality that I know that I like when I'm doing it, and you all help to make that happen. So I wanted to come up with a way to say what our Patreon family means and what it's all about, and I couldn't come up with sort of the right way to encapsulate it. So we had a ton of stuff from people. I said, I'm looking for a synonym for a group for our Patreon page, something catchy that evokes the spirit of a loyal group of people that support Coffee with Kenobi and involves community and fellowship. It has to be true to the spirit of Coffee with Kenobi. Like, we want to make you think, we want to make you laugh, we want you to have a good time and feel like you're having a cup of coffee with myself, the original co-creator of Coffee with Kenobi, Corey Clubb, and our CWK newsman, Tom Gross. But I wanted to find out something that would make it work. And we've got some good folks here. Tyler says he loves the Patreon page, and it's great to see your comments every week. Tyler, loved your top 5 for favorite fictional characters. Maybe I should start smuggling spice. Well, I don't know if I would go that far. I'm not Poe Dameron. Come on, Mark. And Jim also says the Patreon content is excellent. Well, thank you. So we had a ton of great stuff, and I'm going to share these comments with you. Kurt says, pour over partnership, I'm still thinking. Greg McLaughlin says CWK Coffee House. Jeff McGee said the CWK Patreon Percolator. We didn't go with that, but that was a good one from Jeff. Tyler Pampa says Patreons with Palpatine, which I thought was pretty fun. And then, yes, that is. And then we had, let's see, the Star Wars Grind, Blended Ground and Sis Style. Tim Parker said Coffee Beans. Eric Okenhood said CWK Tin Cup. David Nicely said CWK Drip. Tyler Johnson had CWK Council, which I thought was pretty cool. He also suggested CWK Bruniverse, CWK Starfleet, or CWK Squadron. All fun. Tyler Johnson, the baristas of CWK. Rob Wainfer of the Bearded Trio said CWK Special Blend. Again, that's fun too. Alex Procasio said CWK, a force of community. I like that. And these are all good. This is so cool because I want you to feel like you're a part of this, because you are. You're helping. See, when you see the logos that we came up with, you'll find that you throw some ideas on the wall and you see what sticks. And some ideas lead you to where exactly you want to go, or they spur something. It's very much like writing, honestly, or creating a piece of art or a song or a film or something like that. The creative process is very exciting to me. James Howell said Espressos with Kenobi. Minta said CWK Brew. Scott Murray had a couple. He said Cups of Excellence, Perfect Blend, Podcast Republic, Galactic Fellowship, or Symbiotic Circle. Rebecca Benjamin, of course, you all know if you pay attention to coffee or to Star Wars podcasts, she's certainly big in the Star Wars community. She suggested CWK's Beanery, CWK's Light Blend, or CWK's Java Hut. Nice, huh? Cameron Ramos, CWK Grounds Crew. David Nicely said Cappuccino Alley. Mary Purdue, who of course we know very well from our Monday Night Coffee with Kenobi's Facebook Live, said CWK Commissary, CWK Hideaway, CWK Watering Hole. Just so many. And Tyler said CWK Turbo Shot, which that might be too much caffeine. My brother-in-law, Bill Thill, said Coffee with Kenobi Council. So that was something that sparked a lot of stuff too. Matthew Scott, CWK Cafe. Aaron Moran said Lattes and Lightsabers. And then Robert Brathe said Community with Kenobi, or CWKRP in Cincinnati. That might be a copyright thing there. A lot of good stuff. James Howell, Kegers with Kenobi. Probably not the vibe we're looking for, but that's funny. CWK Club says Colby Mead. Let's see. Galactic Silver Pour from Logan Seculo of WDW Today. Corey Club said CWK Collective, CWK Force, CWK Brewsters, and you get the idea. So all of that was happening, and then Corey Club started texting me. He says, "Boy, aren't these great?" I'm like, "Yes, I love them. These are some really good suggestions. What do you think? What do you think?" And we were debating sort of where to go with it. And again, I wanted to come up with something that showed a community and showed something that inspires us. And what did we come up with? I suddenly, out of nowhere, after all of your wonderful suggestions, it just kept kind of building and percolating in my brain. And I thought, how about CWK Alliance? We're an alliance, right? We work together for a common goal to create positivity and fellowship and community in Star Wars. It's good to put some positive stuff out there. We want this to be an escape. We want you to have fun talking Star Wars with your friends that become like family. Corey loved all the suggestions, as I said. So Corey, I said, again, how about CWK Alliance? Corey loved it right away. And then we started developing these ideas, right, in these logos. So those of you who have enjoyed our logos over the years, you know how talented Corey Club is, right? I mean, we've got our classic logo, right? Coffee with Kenobi. This is the podcast you're looking for. This was we started this logo in 2014, actually. And it's just we've stuck with it. I like the orange, and of course, blue is my favorite color. And if you'll notice on danzymedia.com, it's the exact opposite of this. So that was the original one. That's actually the award-winning logo that Corey created. And then for our private Facebook group, CWK Cafe, which anybody can join, go to coffeewithkenobi.com/community. There's this classic logo there, which you see if you're watching this in the CWK Cafe now, or maybe you're just watching it on our regular Coffee with Kenobi Facebook page. And then, as I just showed you a few moments ago, he designed CWK Pour Over. So he's a great, great, talented creator. I mean, we know this to be true. This is what Corey does. He's added, I said from the beginning, to help kind of create the atmosphere that I want for Coffee with Kenobi, it needs to look professional. So what do? You get a guy that is a professional creator, and that's what Corey does. He is a wonderful designer, very, very talented, and he came up with something really, really special. So I'm going to show this to you right now. I'm sort of wasting time while I try to find this in my drive. I'm pretty organized here, so let's see. Promos. Yes. Okay. So again, it's called CWK Alliance, because that's what we're going for. We want to create a community, which we have, and instead of saying, "Hey, join our Patreon page," that's fine. That's fine. It's done this very, very well. But I like the idea of showing what kind of community that we have. So here is the first look at the official logo for CWK Alliance. We've got 3 colors. So here's the first one. Look at that. Beautiful, right? This is the rock star Corey Clubb. He says, "Aw, shucks." Well, hey, man, it's easy to tell the truth, as I always say, but it's got that. I mean, if you'll look, Corey hit some kind of hidden Star Wars things in there. Corey, feel free to weigh in. We've got 3 colors for this because there's basically 3 tiers of this in Patreon. But you can buy any of these logos anytime on our TeePublic store. You've got t-shirts, mugs, stickers, hoodies, all kinds of stuff. So this is the white one, right? That gorgeous A right there to simplify the Alliance. There is, of course, something there that may or may not be a Star Wars ship. Hard to say. So there's that one, right? Amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right, so that is the first one. And then here's the second one. We've got it in the Coffee with Kenobi Rebel Orange, as Corey calls it. CWK Alliance. Yeah, see, look at this, Corey. Everybody loves it. I knew they would. It's on our TeePublic store, assuming that Corey has uploaded it. I'm pretty sure that he has. It is, in fact, the way. That's right. I agree. And then the last one that we have is in black, right? Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Corey's great. He is just such a great, talented designer. We're very, very blessed to have him in the Coffee with Kenobi family. So there you go. The creative process is one of my favorite things about Coffee with Kenobi. And I was sitting on the front porch with my wife. We've had a lot of time to do that over the last couple of months. It's been really, really wonderful. And so I said, hey, this is one of my favorite parts about doing the show is Corey and I get these ideas and we kind of go back and forth. And he'll send me some stuff and then I'll send some suggestions and then he'll send me a couple more things and things I didn't even think of. And we eventually just fine tune it and it's really, really good. And Corey, everybody loves it. No surprise to me. Zach says, I like it. Blake says the black looks so good. The black might be my favorite. I'm not sure. I think my wife and Mason like the white the best. Either way, you just can't beat it. So again, that is basically what we're going for. This is the CWK Alliance. This is the place where you have your community and you can work together to promote this positivity that we have in our fandom. And I love it. So be on the lookout for that. If you want to get the logo, of course you can. You don't have to. It's just something that's going to be out there. So you're going to start seeing advertisements for the CWK Alliance. If you're a Patreon member right now and have been for a while, you're already a member of the CWK Alliance. So very, very good. And if you want to join or find out more about it, then definitely be sure to go to our Patreon page or go to the CWK Alliance. And what Patreon does is it gives you the chance to give back to the show. It's a monthly contribution that you add, and it makes a difference with travel, with equipment, the weekly cost of an RSS feed, which is how you distribute a podcast. And there's so much that goes into it, and it doesn't happen without your amazing help and generosity. And for $5 a month, you get access to CWK Pour Over, again, that exclusive weekly podcast. For $10 a month, you get access to the video of the podcast. We've done some really, really cool stuff with that behind the scenes too. And there are a couple of tiers for everybody to contribute. And it is great fun. Speaking of great fun, thanks again to everybody for paying attention to all the exciting things. And I actually talked about it on Looking at Lucasfilm. And I previewed it on something else too. But you'll just have to kind of look around and see. But always in motion, the future is. The creative juices are flowing. And you all inspire me. So thank you so much for that. And again, thanks to Corey Clubb for being so amazing. So what's brewing in Star Wars? You just found out what's brewing in Star Wars. The CWK Alliance is what's brewing. But that's not what you're really waiting for, right? what you're really waiting for is our top 5. Are you all different cells? No, you're all just we're like different rebel cells. Interesting. Possibly. By the way, did everybody notice my new Coffee with Kenobi? Well, not Coffee with Kenobi, but my new Star Wars coasters. These debuted at Comic-Con a couple weeks ago. They're really, really cool. They are Star Wars Tiki. So hopefully you can see this without the glare. But there's Vader, right? Then we've got Boba Fett having a lime. Right? Aren't these amazing? I've been wanting some cool Star Wars coasters, but I wanted something unique, and these definitely fit the bill. And there is Yoda. There's one more. I'm actually using it right now, so it's got a little bit of moisture on it. Let me wipe this off and show you. But there is Chewbacca. So those are, you can find those, I believe it's called Geek Tiki. That's where you can find them. Really, really fun. Okay, top 5 favorite Star Wars anti-heroes. Yeah, that one is really, really, I love the Boba one too. I know a lot of podcasters, and this is the one community I actually feel a part of. Blake, I am so happy to hear that, dude. I'll never forget when you introduced yourself at Star Wars Celebration Chicago, and you talked about listening to us while you're doing your deliveries and stuff, so that's super cool. I appreciate that, dude. Really do. Tiki like what a Jawa says. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it in the spirit that you typed that, Corey. Yeah, those coasters are really fun, Jim. I'm glad you like them. Whatever it is that Yoda mug looks like, it hit him pretty hard. I think so. Maybe that was after he fought the Emperor on Coruscant. That would be my guess. All right, top 5 favorite Star Wars anti-hero. So what is an anti-hero? An anti-hero is someone who ultimately does something that is beneficial to other people, that is good. He or she is not a bad guy. That being said, an anti-hero does things differently. And the best description I can think of would be, so Marvel Comics, right? Wolverine would be something of an anti-hero. Tony Stark in some of the Marvel Cinematic Universe might be considered an anti-hero because he does things unconventionally. Captain America, not an anti-hero, right? Luke Skywalker, not an anti-hero. Those are very clear, cut and dry good guys. Anti-heroes do things unconventionally. Sometimes I do things that lack in moral integrity or taste, but they ultimately try to do something good at the end of the day. It's just how they do it and how they choose to do it that gets to that. Okay, so my number 5 is Han Solo from A New Hope. So, and Mason actually had a great point. He said, Han Solo from the film Solo would be probably just as good, if not better, and that's very, very true. So I almost didn't put this one because I thought, well, Han Solo, he's obviously a good guy, and that's kind of the point. But it does take him a while to get to that point. He's sort of a rogue, and he does things very unconventionally, which frustrates Luke and Han. Not Han. It frustrates Luke and Leia and Obi-Wan Kenobi pretty repeatedly in the original one. But I think it's a fun choice because it's unique, because he eventually does go from being an anti-hero to an actual hero. But he has to learn it. So we get that in a couple movies. Minta's number 5 is Hondo. I know he's a strange pick, but he does have a good side when the situation calls for it. When he's not trying to steal something, of course. Hondo is a great example of a Star Wars anti-hero because ultimately he does come around and help out Ezra and the rebels. But it does take him a while. And he certainly takes the bad guy route for quite a while. $5 says Asajj Ventress, another great choice. Oh, Mary says IG-11. I didn't think about IG-11 as an anti-hero because that's interesting. I like that. Very, very good, Mary. Very, very cool. Okay. Anybody else have any top 5s? Let's see. Jim says Agent Kallus. Oh, another great pick. He says, I like how his friendship with Zeb eventually inspired him to join the Rebels. That is a great, great pick. I love that. So let's see. Well, let's go to our number 4. Ross says the child. The Mandalorian is full of anti-heroes, and this might be the most intriguing one. Doesn't even fully understand what he's doing yet. I think that raises the question, can you be an anti-hero if you're not quite sure of right and wrong yet because you're just a young 50? I don't know. Interesting. He's certainly not the conventional hero, but I don't know. I might need to be convinced, Ross, but if anybody can do it, it'll be you. You're one smart fellow. Blake says HK-47 from the Knights of the Old Republic games. My one non-canon character. The assassin droid leans towards violent situations, but will do the right thing given you do the right thing as a player. Interesting. And of course, Blake is our resident expert on that video game series, Knights of the Old Republic, so that's great. I love it. Okay, let's go to number 4. Number 4's top 5 Star Wars anti-heroes for me is Visago from Star Wars Rebels. Now, I don't have a picture of Visago, but you would undoubtedly recognize him. He's plays a big part in the first half of Season 1 and the last couple of episodes of Season 4. He's big, kind of a big, hulking, muscular guy. And he, at first, is in charge of smuggling in Lothal. But eventually he comes around and helps the rebels. And he forms a friendship and a connection with a lot of them. But it does take him a while to get to that point. Speaking of rebels, Minta's number 4 is Agent Callus. Corey said Dash Rendar, not canon, but still fun. I was wondering, Corey, if someone was going to bring up Dash Rendar. I think that's a great choice. A great choice. Jim's number 4 is Iden Versio. I admire her assertiveness and how she changed from being loyal to the Empire to being loyal to doing the right thing. Another great pick. See, again, the beauty and the power of these conversations, because you give me all these great ideas that I hadn't thought of. I love it. I love it. Let's see, we've got a few that are popping up here. This is wonderful. Mary also says Ventress. And when I showed Mason some possibilities, he said, Asajj Ventress is an anti-hero. See, Mason hasn't seen all of Clone Wars yet, so that's obviously something that we have to correct. Tyler says Tobias Beckett. I know he can easily be viewed as a villain, but I feel like the underworld of Star Wars is a lot more gray. That is a pretty complex answer. I like that. Because he's definitely a villain at the end. So is he an anti-hero, or is he just out for his own selfish interest and his own personal gain? Did he actually do something to help people? I don't know. But that's very compelling to me, Tyler. I really like that. Ross says Asajj Ventress, good, bad, badder, bad, good. What a journey for quite possibly my favorite character in Star Wars. Oh, how cool. How cool is that? Mark says, I'd love to hear whether you guys think Grand Admiral Ray Sloan ever crosses the boundary into anti-hero territory. Mark, that's an interesting question. For me personally, I would have to revisit some of her arcs, but I think of her mostly as working for the Empire, because she doesn't actually do anything for the good of others, does she? You'll have to remind me of that. I know she has her own reasons for being in the Empire, but she still ultimately serves the Empire. But I don't know, again, like I said, refresh me. I certainly read everything that she's been a part of, but it has been a while. Blake says Saw Gerrera, he's nutty, but he has flashes of his good side when we see him in Rogue One. He means well, but has gone rogue. You know, I thought about putting Saw on there, but he's definitely not one of my favorites because he's just so mean. I don't know. I don't know if he's an anti-hero or not, or just a very complicated villain. See, again, what a great topic, because some of these aren't very clear-cut, and that's why the power of this discussion and all of your great comments are really helping. Or Grand Admiral Thrawn, for that matter. I would say Thrawn is certainly not an anti-hero in any way because of what he does in Rebels. That would be mine. But Mark, what do you think? I'm certainly open to your point of view. Zach says, Zori Bliss, she finally came around at the end of the movie, but you know she has a background of some mischief. Very, very true. Very, very true, especially from the new novel that's out that goes over Poe's background as well. Eric, good to see you here, man. We are going through our top 5 favorite Star Wars anti-heroes, and we're now on to number 3. Okay, I apologize. I have a different setup in here, so I have a different eye line, so I have to keep reminding myself where to look. My number 3 is Dr. Aphra. There was a good part of the week where I almost put Aphra as number 1. But she's too new for me to feel like I can put her as my top number 1 Star Wars anti-hero. She's certainly compelling. She is certainly mischievous. And is she really an anti-hero? I mean, she does just as much bad as she does good. And she does it for very selfish reasons. But if you listen to the new audiobook, Dr. Aphra, written by Sarah Kuhn, then you start to learn why she is the way that she is. And they certainly cover it in the Marvel comics started by Kieran Gillen, who created this character to be sort of the rogue anti-Indiana Jones. But she's super cool, super compelling, and I'm actually happy to say I actually have her action figure, because that was a pretty hard one to find. So, looks like we've got some other ones that are showing up here as well. Ross says the jury's still out on Thrawn. So much more story to learn. Very true. Is DJ an anti-hero? I would say no, because he doesn't do anything heroic. I mean, at the end, he betrays them, and he's very aware that his betrayal could mean the end of choice and freedom in the galaxy and the end of the resistance, and he doesn't care. His motto is "Don't join." So to me, that's not anti-heroism. That's selfishness and neutrality, if anything. Well, I don't know if it's neutrality. He's pretty much made a stand. If you pay me, I'll take this money and do whatever, and I don't care who suffers. So I would say no, personally. Mita also says, Dr. Aphra, she starts off with the Empire, begins to fight for the greater good. Tyler says, Galen Merrick / Starkiller. That is a great choice. That is a good one. That might show up for some people's number ones. Jim's number 3 is Ventress, particularly when she teams up with Ahsoka in the Clone Wars. Yeah, I like that one too. I'm going to move my comment box up here so I can look more up and see all of you a lot easier that way. Okay. I like that. Ventress is a great choice. Mary says Hondo. Hondo Naka. I like trying to talk like Hondo, but I sound a lot more like my relative Zaki than Hondo. People who know me and my family will think that's funny. Mark says Aphra is a great character. She really is. Blake says Agent Callus from Rebels. I loved how his character went from an Imperial loyalist to a defector after he got stranded with Zeb. Very different type of hero. Yep, I agree. Ross says Din Djarin could end up being the best anti-hero of the Star Wars universe in time. His character in the show has changed the game. Thank you, Filoni and Jon Favreau. Interesting. That is an interesting choice. A very interesting choice. I was wondering if he was going to come up for people as being an anti-hero or not, because I think the jury's still out on him more than maybe anybody. But he's certainly not a conventional hero. He does do the right thing when he saves the child, and certainly puts himself at risk for the good of the child. So that's pretty good. Let's move on to number 2. My number 2 is Asajj Ventress, as we've been talking about. Now, do I like Asajj Ventress more than Aphra? I guess it depends on the story. I don't know, but I think Asajj Ventress, as Ross mentioned earlier, is very compelling. She certainly has a very complicated arc. She certainly makes a lot of choices that lead her from one place to the other. She's a victim of some very unfortunate things in her life. Certainly isn't treated great by Count Dooku, but eventually rises above. And I think she's extremely cool. And Dark Disciple, as I've said before, is one of the best canonical Star Wars novels you'll find. And it very much takes us through her arc and where she ends up in the Star Wars universe. All right, speaking of Dark Disciple, Minta says Quinlan Vos, he toes the line of light and darkness during the Clone Wars, both canon and non-canon. I agree with that very much. I almost put Quinlan on the list, but I ended up going with Ventress, but they're both very much fit that mold. Very unique. Quinlan Vos is a very unique Jedi. Jim Capron's number 2 is Night Sister Mirren from Jedi Fallen Order because of the friendship she developed with Cal Kestis. Night Sisters and Jedi do not travel together, but we're survivors. We adapt. Another great deep cut. Lando Calrissian, says Tyler Pampa. Always seems willing to throw people under the bus in the beginning, but makes one big mistake with Vader, and then on in is willing to do the right thing. It's amazing how you'll change kind of your point of view when Darth Vader's there. And Eric, jumping on what Tyler just said, they just great minds think alike, right? So Eric says, what about Lando and Empire? He's definitely an anti-hero there. Ooh, Blake has one that I was not expecting. Ben Solo, Kylo's arc was one of the few things I liked from the sequel, and I think was genius. His character and turn to the light, to me, make him an anti-hero. I love it. I love it. Ross says Qui-Gon Jinn, he keeps it pure in his own way, which at times goes against the Jedi Order. True. Wow, he's certainly a maverick Jedi. I don't know if I'd call him an anti-hero, but we're probably just splitting hairs. I like that. Ross, you always make me think about things in unique ways. Zach, Kylo Ren / Ben Skywalker, enough said. Yep. And just like we said up above, this is cool because I hadn't thought about Ben as being the option, but he's certainly a great choice. Certainly a great choice. Okay. Number one favorite anti-hero in Star Wars. For me, there's only one, arguably one of my favorite characters in Star Wars. Certainly unconventional. Certainly a character that almost made me spend an absurd amount of money to buy another Millennium Falcon just so I can get the 3 3/4 inch figure. I did not do it. I resisted because that's too much money. But he is a cool character, and I'm talking about Hondo Ohnaka, as we've talked about throughout the show. Hondo is the definition for my money of an anti-hero. He He is sinister, he's selfish, but he starts to see the light. But it's hard to kind of dust off some of these things that he's accustomed to living, the patterns of life that he has for himself. But eventually he makes the right choice. He joins the rebellion. He's come so far that Chewbacca actually lets him kind of be in charge of the Millennium Falcon for a while. If you've ever been to Galaxy's Edge, or you've read some of the literature, you know all about that story. So Hondo Ohnaka. Love Hondo Ohnaka very much. All right, let's see. So Mary says, number 2, Ben Solo does horrible things, but his conflict is always apparent. True. And I would say not until he throws away his lightsaber does he become the potential for an anti-hero personally, and I'm sure you'd agree with that too. Jim's number 1 is Galen Erso. Despite being forced to abandon his daughter and create a weapon of mass destruction, he still found a way to do the right thing by creating a flaw in the Death Star while also reestablishing his relationship with Jin. Interesting. I don't know if he's an anti-hero or not, because the only reason he kept it a secret was because he was trying to keep himself alive and defeat the Empire. But it's a compelling case. I like it. And Galen Erso is one of my favorite characters as well. Colby says, "Hey everybody, better late than never." Colby, always happy to have you, my friend. He says, I want to throw out Captain Cardinal, Archex from the Phasma and Black Spire Outpost novels. If Lisa was on here, undoubtedly she would have said the same thing. Captain Cardinal is a good one. Looks almost identical to Phasma, except all in red, hence the Captain Cardinal. Another compelling character, a great choice for an anti-hero. Tyler says, Crosshair, the Raphael of the Bad Batch. Hey, the Bad Batch. That's one that's not afraid to get dirty and get up in the face of authority. Always finishes a task at hand, even though it may have involved some questionable means. I would say Crosshair's messy, as you said. I don't know if he's an anti-hero, because he's all about the Republic. But I don't know. I like it. Again, you all continue to amaze me with your insights and the way you look at Star Wars. I learned from each of you, and I'm very grateful for that. Very grateful for that. Ross says, Han Solo the original. There you go. He's not the OG, but what would that be? Now let's think about that. Mary also says Han Solo's scruffy-looking nerf herder who has lived for himself for so long, but he's a good guy at heart always. I love that. I love that. Number 1, Minta says Cade Skywalker from Legends. He continuously falls from dark to light until he finally accepts his birthright as a Skywalker, which is a cool choice. Blake says, Din Djarin, my favorite character, is the Clint Eastwood of space, which makes him the coolest anti-hero of all time. Oh, I like that. The Clint Eastwood of space. Very much. Have we heard enough of Beliert Valance yet to be considered to be an anti-hero? Interesting. I don't think so. Not quite yet. But Mark, what do people think about Mark's comment? That's a great one. And I may not be pronouncing Beliert Valance. But to be fair, Star Wars doesn't always follow the rule of consonants and vowels. They kind of take their own unique perspective on pronunciations of things. Terry says, surprisingly, no one mentioned Anakin concerning how he turned on the Emperor. Interesting. Is Anakin Skywalker an anti-hero at the end of Return of the Jedi, or does he just flat out turn to the light side and become heroic? I love it. I love it. Very, very good. Well, that's our top 5 for this week. Top 5 favorite Star Wars anti-heroes. And this is a little bit more complicated because sort of where's the line of what an anti-hero is, and we also have our own different way of looking at it, which I think is fascinating. So I love that. So what should we do for next week? Mason and I have a cool idea for 2 weeks from now that we're really excited about. But next week is also going to be a fun one, and it is top 5 favorite red lightsaber wielders. Now, full discretion here. At first I put top 5 Sith, but then I realized, well, there's basically only 4 of them. 5, I guess, if you really want to be technical. And I didn't think that would be as fun. Clearly what we did on today's show is that we opened up to a lot of different ideas and different perspectives and options for these characters. And I think that's cool. So with this, you've got a whole bunch of options because you've got, basically, if you've ever seen anyone with a red lightsaber in the comics, in the movies, whatever, the animated stuff, then you have your option for a red lightsaber wielder. So that's what we're going to have. So give me a few more issues of Bounty Hunters. Ross's answer to Mark. I think that's a good call. Mark says Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Tyler says, oh, that'll be a good one. Yeah. Top 5 red lightsaber wielders, whether it's one time or whatever. I think that'll be fun. Blake likes it. Blake loves it, actually. And Minta says that'll be interesting. Might have a few good ones up my sleeves. Exactly. I want these to be something fun. I was getting ready for the show earlier today, and I like the idea of thinking about how people around the galaxy were getting their top 5 lists ready, and that makes me very happy because it's pretty fun. Really, really fun. Okay, so that's again top 5 red lightsaber wielders for next week. That's going to be fun, so be sure to get that list ready. Let's jump into, I don't have any reviews this week, really. Let's just go ahead and jump into Ask Dan Z. So I'm laughing because Marcus jumped in, one of my favorite members of the 501st, and he says, how about Will Hood? He lacks all the conventional heroic attributes, but the Cloud City memory core he saved ensured it wouldn't fall into the Empire's hands. So Will Hood, is he an anti-hero though? I mean, that's pretty heroic. He's certainly unconventional. And are you just saying that because you cosplay as him too, Marcus? So you can be honest. It's okay. That's a fun. I'm going to click like there as well. All right, so we're wrapping up towards the end of the show. We still got a little bit of time left, so if you have any questions about what's going on in the world of Star Wars, maybe you read something, maybe you watched something, maybe you thought about something in the world of Star Wars that confused you, or you thought, this deserves a little more analysis and insight, I'm happy to weigh in and certainly throw it out to our amazing Coffee with Kenobi community and see what you all think too, so we can learn from each other. That I think is the most fun part of all this as well. And Marcus is sort of admitting what I suspected, which is pretty funny. All right, so you have any questions for me, whether it's about Star Wars or podcasting? Last week there was some great conversation or questions from Alex and others about interviewing and different background and stuff like this. Blake's got something for us. How do you think they'll release the Mando Season 2 trailer? Random drop or around a sporting event? Well, Blake, that's a good question. A sporting event, I don't know, because it's not like the NFL will be in full swing then, if it even starts. Hard to say. Hopefully it does, but you never know. So I don't know. I feel like I still expect, and I have no insight on this, I still sort of expect that it's going to show up for us around the week of Celebration, because that's probably when we would have originally seen it anyway. Again, that's just pure speculation on my part. Eric says they released the audiobook cast of the new Clone Wars book. Oh, Eric, I haven't seen that. Let us know what it says, or like who are some people in the cast. I certainly haven't seen that, but I would love to know. That new Clone Wars book is a series of short stories, and it's really, really cool. Minta says, would you consider some of the original Star Wars Lego stories possibly canon? My oldest nephew binge watched a lot of them in the past few weeks. They aren't canon. I know that they aren't, but I know that they're great fun, and I know that they bring kids of all ages into the world of Star Wars and into this great mythology. So to me, that's as good as anything. Remember, I know Mason likes them. We still watch them and laugh at them. It's cool that they're on Disney Plus. But all the stories are fun, and I always think of stuff as like, is King Arthur or Arthurian lore, where there's a ton of different versions of King Arthur and he's different in different stories, or who's telling the story or whatever. But still, all the fun of the same world. And so, if you're enjoying it, then it's really, really, really great. Mark says, I just started rewatching Revenge of the Sith, and it occurred to me that the first half hour is the entire genesis of the Clone Wars series, the action, humor, and the banter between Anakin and Obi-Wan. How do you think watching the show changes the impact of the movie's opening, if at all? I think it does a lot, Mark. That's a great question, because I think it adds a little more texture, adds a little more of... it sort of emphasizes the contrast, but also gives us a lot of context, which I think is important and helps us to weigh. And I've always said that the Clone Wars helped me to really like Anakin, Battle Droids, Grievous, Count Dooku even more, because it added more complexity and context. So, and I think it adds a lot, especially the last 4 episodes of the last season in the Siege of Mandalore. So that's really cool. Yeah, The Revenge of the Sith, certainly one of the top Star Wars movies ever made. And I like that. Very good, Mark. And there is the news of the Clone Wars Stories of Light and Dark that Eric has added for us. Thank you so much, Eric. It'll be on StarWars.com. Click on the news and blog section, and that was where you can find that out as well. You get one Star Wars actor's autograph. Who would it be? For me, if it's something where I could get it in person, I would like to get Mark Hamill's, just because it'd be fun to talk to him and see what he said. I met Carrie Fisher. I obviously met Harrison Ford. And I didn't get their autographs, but I just got pictures with them. And that was pretty special for me. But I think Mark Hamill would be really, really cool to have. It'd be great to get George Lucas's autograph, too. I have Harrison Ford's autograph now that I think about it. It's something I bought when he was doing stuff for Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And I love it. It's certainly a treasure of mine, for sure. But it would be more fun to get without paying for it. Are you and Mason excited for the Lego Star Wars Skywalker game? Tyler, we sure are, my friend. We've been playing the Force Awakens Lego and then the original Nintendo Wii Lego series of all the Star Wars films, and that's been fun. But Mason and I are very, very excited, and Tyler, I'm sure that you are too. Eric says, how do you balance family life with all you do for Star Wars? Well, Eric, you'll have to ask my wife that, if I do a good job of that or not. But the main thing I try to tell people is wherever you are, that's where you are. And that's hard for me sometimes. I have a hard time sort of multitasking, and I get very, very sort of laser focused on stuff. But there are just certain parts of my day where, okay, right now I'm a dad. Right now I'm a husband. Right now I'm cleaning out the yard. Right now I've got to write this blog because I've got a deadline for StarWars.com. Or I've got to get stuff ready for Facebook Live. Or I've got to edit the show. You know, you just have to make pockets throughout the day to try to find a way to do and accomplish everything. It's a constant challenge, but honestly, I love it. I like being busy. I like keeping my mind going like that. And it's certainly taken me to a lot of wonderful places, but it's something I have to be completely cognizant and aware of at all times and have to really focus on. You can't really relax on anything. I mean, the most important thing to me is God and my family and my friends. My day job as a teacher, which is about to kick up next week, and then the show, right? And I have to keep things in that order. Otherwise, I'm not going to be my best, and I want to be my best. And I don't know. Hopefully, that answers that. Just as if you thought about doing a top 5 Star Wars acting performances, although that would be a tough list to narrow down. Yeah, and it's so subjective too. But I will definitely put that on the list, Jim. I like that. Oh, look at Will. Will, former student of mine, Mason. I had lunch with Will and Nick today. Good to see you, my friend. Will says, do you think Sebastian Stan would play a good young Luke Skywalker if they decide to do a young Luke Skywalker show on Disney Plus? Awesome show too. Yes. Well, thanks, dude. Again, good to see you guys today. I think Sebastian Stan is too old to be on the Disney Plus on a Disney Plus Luke Skywalker show, but that would be cool. Or maybe if they played him like in the days when he's teaching Ben Solo, that would be fun. I still think that's rich territory. Ross says, what's the hardest single part of writing your book that comes out in October? Ross, ask me that in about a month or so, and then I will be happy to answer that. It certainly took a lot of time, I will say that, but I loved every second of it. Every second of it. So, Dan, Corey says, hey, Dan, I forgot what that new CWK Alliance logo looks like. Show it again. I will, Corey. I will show the CWK Alliance logo. In fact, I'll do that right now. Which one would you like to see, buddy? Is there a certain color that you want to see? Let's check it out, shall we? I should have had it popped up for you. So the CWK Alliance logo, there is the white one. Let me get rid of myself here. Go away, Dan. Let's see. This actually might be easier to do. Always keep me on my toes, Mr. Club. I wouldn't have it any other way. Okay, so let's put those logos up there again. We've got the white one, CWK Alliance, boom. It's so hard for me to know which one is my favorite. It really is. Here is the orange one. And here is the black one. The black one might be my favorite, but I don't know. I really don't know. They're all pretty great. So there you go. And Corey, you haven't answered yet. Is it on TeePublic? Because people want to know. I want to know. We're excited. Tyler says, my wife and I are both excited for the Skywalker Saga. I don't play too many video games, although I just replayed the Batman Arkham Trilogy, but I'll be buying Skywalker Saga day one. Yeah, and it's fun because it's just so kid-friendly and entertaining. White shirts currently available right now. Oh, very cool. And on TeePublic, you can change the color of the tees anyway. So you can get them all. Eric likes the white one. Cool. Yeah, they're really, really fun. Really. really fun. There is the link right there. And and Corey will put that on in CWK Cafe or on Coffee with Kenobi's Facebook page, so you can check that out as well. Very, very good. Well, we've got a couple of things that I want to be sure to bring to your attention as we wrap up the show. Of course, we were just talking about it. We have got my book coming up October 20th. The Star Wars book by myself, Pablo Hidalgo, and Cole Horton. Expand your knowledge of a galaxy far, far away. It's a number of essays all about the world of Star Wars, and you're going to love it. You are definitely going to love it for sure. Corey, everybody loves your logos, man, and they should. They're pretty great. If you love Coffee with Kenobi live, you'll certainly love Coffee with Kenobi's podcast each and every week. We had Ian Desher on. We've had Ahmed Best. We have another author that's going to be on this week that has just written a Star Wars book that I reviewed a couple weeks ago. That's going to be really, really fun, too. Blake's with Tyler. Lego game is going to be open world and going to be so good. Oh, it is going to be so good. I wonder if you can play it online with each other. Maybe it just depends. Speaking of what I suggest, if you want to be a part of the Star Wars conversation, go to CWK Cafe, which is our Facebook group, www.coffeewithkenobi.com/community. Jim, it is my pleasure, buddy, to certainly spend tonight with you talking some Star Wars. Speaking of spending time talking some Star Wars, CWK Pour Over is our weekly exclusive podcast, not heard anywhere else, hosted by myself, Corey Clubb, and Tom Gross. This music right here has been sort of a staple of Coffee with Kenobi for a very, very long time, and it's by Steve Torok, and be sure to check that out. It is on iTunes as well. Again, thank you so much, everybody. My pleasure spending Monday night with you. I can't wait to see you next week, where we'll talk about our top 5 favorite red lightsaber wielders. That opens it up, not just the Sith, anybody. Tyler says that Ahmed Best episode was amazing. He sounds like a great person. Thank you, Tyler. He is an exceptional person. Very, very kind. And he and I have chatted a little bit since then. Hoping to maybe one day have him on again very soon. He's really, really great. Eric, thank you. And thank all of you for joining me each and every week, Monday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time for Coffee with Kenobi live. Have a great week, everybody. Be sure to spread that positivity. Consider joining the CWK Alliance, and we will see you next week.